Today, we'll be getting into some of our go-to strategies that have consistently worked for us when we travel to Disney. Hello and welcome to the Let's Go to Disney podcast. I'm Oliver.
And I'm Lucy.
Today is Sunday, March 29th, and you're listening to episode 133, our go-to Disney strategies that always work. Before we get into today's main topic, here's what's going on in the parks right now. The castle is fully gray now, and the repainting effort has moved to the spires. So they're being painted a deeper shade of blue, which is a nice contrast with the gray colors of the castle. This is solid progress, and we can reasonably assume that it won't be much longer now. So crane season is just about done.
They got that done so fast.
Yeah,
I was impressed.
It is nice that it's coming to a close.
Yes, agreed. Before the summer months and the busyness. Yeah,
nobody likes having those cranes in their photos first thing in the morning, right? So it's going to be nice to see those gone.
Agreed.
Disney announced some D23 news about this year's event over in Anaheim. So the event will be held August 14th through 16th at the Anaheim Convention Center and the Honda Center. This is not really surprising. It's not news either, but this is. So tickets go on sale to D23 Gold Charter members on Tuesday, March 31st. So today, as this episode airs, and Thursday, April 2nd at 10 a.m. Pacific time for Choice, Essential, and Complete plans. That's Gold members, right? D23 Gold members. And at noon Pacific time for Gold members on the free Disney Plus Perks plan. This year's event is going to feature 3 events at the Honda Center. So August 14th at 7 p.m. will be the Disney Entertainment Showcase. So that's like movies, series coming to Disney Plus, Pixar movies, Disney Animation Studios, like all those things. August 15th at 7 p.m. is Disney Experiences Showcase. So this is like the news on the parks.
That's the one you're waiting for.
Yeah, exactly. Disney Cruise Line, all those things, like any exciting announcements that we're going to get that is going to expand on what we heard in 2024 when they first announced, like, Monsters Inc. Lands, Villains Land, all those things.
Yeah.
If we're going to hear anything, it's going to be here.
Absolutely.
And then August 16th at 1:30 p.m., that's going to be the Disney Legends Award ceremony. So of the people joining the Disney Legends this year, there's some big names. Bob Iger, right? Recently retired CEO. Dwayne Johnson, right? So The Rock, Lin-Manuel Miranda, the Jonas Brothers, Anne Hathaway, among a few others.
And then over at the Convention Center, August 14th to 16th from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., you're going to find a ton of immersive experiences, panels and presentations, and exclusive shopping. Wednesday the 12th will also be D23 at the Angel Stadium, and Thursday the 13th will be D23 Day at Disneyland Resort to celebrate the event as well. We fully expect some major news from park expansions to Disney Cruise Line news. We always get fun updates coming out of the D23, so we'll definitely be watching this closely when that time comes around. Tickets will go quick, so if that's something that interests you, make sure to mark it on your calendar.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It's going to be like Run Disney events, right?
Yeah,
like it's
absolutely.
A waiting room, and then you go in, you're in a waiting queue or virtual queue rather, and then, the people who get lucky get tickets, and those who don't, well, they miss out.
That's exactly it.
With that said, let's get into today's main topic, which will be the strategies that consistently work for us when we're traveling down to Walt Disney World. So we often talk about tips and tricks for the parks, but we do like to give advice that apply to lots of different types of vacations and scenarios, because not all tips will work for all people, right? That makes sense. So for example, being mindful of height requirements is not a thing if you're traveling with older kids or adults only. Whereas if you're traveling with young kids, that's definitely something you're going to want to know going in, because obviously there are attractions that won't be suitable for younger kids, right? Or shorter kids.
Yeah, that's right. But today we're going to talk about the strategies that have worked for us specifically, trip over trip, whether we're traveling just the two of us or with our kids or on Oliver's solo trips. So today will definitely be based on our experiences in the parks and then just the strategies that we are personally very likely to use every single time we go to Disney. So let's hop right into it. So when it comes to planning, outside of booking our resort and flights, which is always done months and months in advance, we always use our 60-day booking window for dining. It has been a long time since we stayed off property at this point. I think 2014 was the last time we did that. So when our booking window opens, we book our dining for the entire trip.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. We'll usually do up a checklist on a Word document or something like that of the restaurants we want to book on which day. And then when our window opens, we'll both get up early. We throw on a pot of coffee and we get it done.
That's right.
That doesn't usually take us very long at all, because there's 2 of us and there's usually, reservations for, let's say, like 6 or 7 days. And we've always had great success doing this. We also always put our most popular restaurants on the back end of our trip. So if we're booking something like Space 220 or Topolino's Breakfast, Ohana, those more popular reservations, yeah, those are going to be later in our trip.
Yeah.
And if we take our planned potential trip in October, we'll definitely be doing this again, of course. And Lucy and the kids haven't been to Beacon Barrel yet, and that's still a hot reservation. So we'd be trying for that. And again, we'd be putting that, later in the trip.
Absolutely. I'm definitely looking forward to checking that one out for the first time. And I think the kids will get a kick out of it too.
Agreed. Yep.
And then outside of taking advantage of that dining booking window, we do the same things for lightning lanes at 7 days out. That's non-negotiable. As a family, we are pretty much a multi-pass family every single day, and a few single passes sprinkled in there as well. Guardians of the Galaxy. Once upon a time, we did Magic Kingdom first, always. But since multi-pass, we have actually put Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios later in our trip. And this is because booking lightning lanes at 7 days out, we definitely find better availability for those lightning lanes later in the trip. That way, our first selections are earlier in the day and we can really maximize our purchase and our days.
Yeah, 100%. Always works for us. And again, we've never had issues getting pretty much exactly what we want in terms of attractions and return times.
We also don't stress return times as much because, especially if they're just a little bit later in the day, because you can always modify once you grab one.
But we always try to have that first one to be early in the day because
true.
Then we can start booking the next
exactly.
one. Yeah, that's right. And then arriving on property. So that's another thing we always do is we pretty much always take an Uber or Lyft. So when you're traveling with a party of 3 or 4, it pretty much equals the cost of Mears Connect. So it's not any more cost effective than a ride share, but a ride share is just faster. So we would suggest that. The caveat here is that if you have little ones, you may have to bring like a booster seat or even a car seat, which is not ideal. So in that case, Mears Connect is just really nice because, it's a big bus essentially, right? So no car seats are required. When I travel solo, I've started doing Mears Connect as well because it's just way cheaper for smaller parties, right? It's like $17 one way. But even in those times, I do miss just the speed and convenience of a rideshare like
That's
Uber.
fair. Yeah, it is very convenient.
Yes, for sure.
And like we said, the perks of staying at a Disney resort are definitely worth it for us. So we always stay on property. When we have the kids with us, we don't usually go into a park on our arrival day. We will usually get set up at the resort, go for a swim, and then have dinner either at Disney Springs or at our resort, depending on where we are staying. When it's just the two of us, or if Oliver is solo, we almost surely do head into a park, usually Epcot, to get started on whatever festival is going on at the time, because there's so much food at those festivals that we have to start early.
Yeah, exactly. If there's a festival, we're grabbing a passport on day one, absolutely, and getting started on whatever food crawl is on at the time.
Absolutely.
Definitely one of our favorite things to do, like on property as a whole, for sure. Now, when it comes to our park days, one strategy that has never failed and that we do every single day is arrive early. So we're early risers, it's the way it is,
naturally,
right?
Yeah.
But it has paid off big time for our park days. So staying on property, you qualify for early entry, right? And arriving early gets you near the front of the crowds. And then we can usually get in like 2 or 3 big attractions done in the first half hour of the day. And for us, it just takes some pressure off of the rest of the day, right? And if we're doing lightning lanes, which we normally do, it just lets us ride our favorites, twice during the day, both with low weights, which, it's awesome any way you slice it.
Absolutely. And we know that's not for everyone. Not everyone likes getting up early on vacation. But like Oliver said, this is just something that we personally always do, and it has always paid off for us. Our usual strategy is at Magic Kingdom, we will rope drop Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and then we'll go right to Peter Pan's flight. At Animal Kingdom, we do Flight of Passage, then Navi River Journey. At Epcot, it'll depend on the entrance that we're actually coming from. If we are coming from that front entrance, we go to Guardians, then Test Track, or maybe Frozen. And if we're coming from the International Gateway entrance, we're going to do Remy's first, and then most likely Frozen. And then lastly, at Hollywood Studios, if we have the kids, we're going to go to Slinky Dog Dash and then Toy Story Mania. And if it's just the two of us, we go to Tower of Terror and then Rock and Roller Coaster, or whatever it's going to be called with the Muppets.
Yeah, Rock and Roller Coaster starting the Muppets.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, for sure. And then in either one of those scenarios, our third attraction is probably Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway before
the
9
parks.
o'clock. Exactly.
Usually we can get there right at like 8:55, 9 o'clock.
If we had an efficient morning, we can get there right before 9.
As we're getting to the entrance of that ride, we usually look down and we can see everybody
like
else
the crowd,
coming in.
the 9 o'clock crowd coming in. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah. And on that note, like whatever it is, whatever park we're in and wherever we're rope dropping, we've been forced to pivot
many times.
Because,
oh gosh,
like a ride doesn't open. We're looking at U7 Dwarfs because it's happened to us.
Terrible.
I don't know how many times now. It's been half a dozen times where we've been at Magic Kingdom ready to rope drop, and
our
Seven
kids
Dwarfs
get so
is a
discouraged in
delayed
those
opening.
moments.
We do too. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you get up at, whatever it is, 2 hours before early entry, you get all set up,
Yep.
you get there like and you want
You
it
get
so
mad,
bad.
yeah.
But it happens, right? So, but that is our typical mornings, like in the different parks. Our next strategy is maximizing multipass. So like we said, we'll often purchase it for the day, especially when the kids are with us. We always make sure our first 3 selections are in the first half of the day, ideally. And then as soon as we scan into our first ride, we're booking the next one. Refreshing still works too, just like it was when it was Genie Plus,
Yep.
right? You book an attraction and then you refresh for a better one. That's still alive and well. So we don't necessarily settle for the first time that we see. We will refresh for the best possible time. And we still have success doing that.
Absolutely.
If we're park hopping, mid-morning is when we'll usually start looking at lighting lanes in the second park. This is more typical when it's just Lucy and I. And it's not that we don't park hop when we have the kids, because we do, but we'll just do it earlier in the day when it's just the 2 of us.
Yeah.
If we have the kids, it's like usually in the afternoon or
After
even
lunch. Yeah.
late afternoon. Yeah,
Very true.
For sure. Yeah.
So next up is our food strategy. Again, when the kids are with us, we usually buy bread and peanut butter from the merchandise store at the resort. And then we usually prepare peanut butter sandwiches the night before or the morning of, and then we take them with us in the park. We'll usually wake the kids up as late as possible because they're long days. They've always had their showers that night before, so we don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah, we're just getting them dressed and out the door,
and our
basically.
daughter's pretty easy going with her hair. She just likes it slicked back, and she puts her mini ears on, so then we're good to go. But then they do start getting pretty hungry in the morning, so we always have those ready to go. Usually while we are waiting to enter the park at rope drop is when they will finish those peanut butter sandwiches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then when it's just Oliver and I, we usually don't do breakfast. We will grab coffee either at the resort if it's open early enough, or at the park after we've done a few rides. This is such a contrast to our usual mornings at home because Oliver never skips breakfast ever.
No, that's right. I don't, right? But our diet is so out of whack when we're at Disney, so I'm not usually super hungry in the morning the way I get when we're at home.
We're more snacky at Disney, so yeah, you've snacked
for sure,
probably the night before even.
Yeah, exactly. And then on the note of coffee too, is most quick service locations at the resorts open at 7 a.m.
Yes.
And depending how early the parks open and how early you're heading to rope drop, that might not cut it, right? So you might have to wait for coffee until you're in the parks. Except for certain places, for example, like Coronado Springs.
They are the best.
Yeah, Barcelona Lounge, which is in the lower lobby, they open at 6:30. And they have those big coffee canisters. So we can usually have a cup. I'll drink one quick and then I'll have another one to go. And
I'm usually just good sipping on my one throughout the morning.
Yeah. But exactly. So just something to keep in mind there for the coffee situation at the resorts. Outside of that, we'll usually have 1 table service reservation per day, definitely not more than that. And for lunch, we'll usually do quick service when we have the kids. Our go-tos in the parks are Setuli Canteen at Animal Kingdom, Backlot Express or ABC Commissary at Hollywood Studios, Columbia Harbor House at Magic Kingdom, and then sometimes Pinocchio Village House as well for those
both are great
flatbreads.
options,
And Sunshine Seasons over at Epcot. When it's just Lucy and I, again, we're not likely to do a quick service for lunch either. Sometimes we'll stop for a salad and split it for ABC Commissary or something like that.
When we feel we need some health.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll usually just snack here and there. Some of our favorites are the Nutella waffle sandwich from Sleepy Hollow or the cinnamon roll from Gaston's Tavern. That's at Magic Kingdom. The carrot cake whoopie pie, that's at Trolley Car Cafe, which is the Starbucks at Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
The caramel popcorn at Caramel Couche. Which is over in the Germany Pavilion at Epcot. That's my absolute favorite. And Animal Kingdom is where we might actually sit down for a quick service lunch
just
at
Setuli
Canteen or something like that, or at Nomad Lounge.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
another one of our favorites for sure.
And don't get us wrong, our kids also love snacking on the cinnamon rolls, the carrot cake, whoopie, all that stuff like that.
We might split those and still stop for lunch.
Our kids are becoming more snacker like us at Disney.
Yeah, for sure.
They want to taste it all.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, like we said, we do a table service for dinner or supper, depending on where you come from. We will often do our favorites in the park. So think Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater, La Hacienda de San Angel, Skipper Canteen, or any of the Magic Kingdom resort restaurants as well, like Ohana, Steakhouse 71, Geyser Point, 1900 Park Fair, Storybook Dining at Artist Point, all great options.
Yeah, for sure.
We rarely, if ever, eat dinner at Animal Kingdom. I think we did it once our first time.
Our first time post-pandemic.
Yes,
we ate
Yak and
Yak
Yeti.
and Yeti, exactly. Yeah.
But we will usually eat at a resort or at Disney Springs on our Animal Kingdom day because usually we have thoroughly done that park
mid-afternoon.
By mid-afternoon, and we have the time to go back to the resort, maybe get changed for a nicer supper at the resort and then go back.
Disney Springs,
and then we usually like to go into Disney Springs.
Yeah.
But when everything else opens up there, that might change our ideas. You never know.
Oh, when
Encanto
for
and
sure.
Indiana Jones, like if new things start opening up and we're spending more time, we might change our minds.
Yeah, exactly. And the park closes so early too, right? Usually like 6 or 7 p.m.
It does,
so you can easily do a whole day there when that opens. Yeah.
And then one thing too for snacks and quick service is mobile order. If the place you're eating at offers it, make sure you take advantage of that. It is better than it used to be, but still so many people don't use it. And then they just wait in these long lines when the mobile order offers immediate return times. So just don't let that be you. We see so many people just waiting in these lines on their phones because they're bored. They're standing there. And we just always feel like saying, you should mobile order.
Yeah, but of course you never want to pry.
No, it's none of our business.
Yeah, 100%. We're not here to tell you how to spend your day. But
no.
if you want like time-saving strategies, mobile order.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Next up is our midday strategy. So most families will get some major fatigue in the middle of the day, right? Especially when you had an early start, which, like we're advocating that you should do. The best thing to do in that case, especially when you have younger travelers with you, is just to take a break. Okay. And it doesn't have to be necessarily leaving the parks altogether, but it does mean, getting off your feet and out of the heat for at least a little while. When we have the kids, we'll often go back to the resort and swim for an hour or two in the afternoon. And then we'll usually stack some lightning lanes for later in the evening to be ready to go when we do head back into whatever park we're going to. We've also made like brunch reservations, and that's served as like our break as well. Our go-tos for that is Topolino's breakfast over at the Riviera Resort. They have a phenomenal breakfast. And it's right on the Skyliner, so it's definitely a good strategy on either your Epcot or Hollywood Studios day.
Yeah, absolutely. And then outside of that, you can actually head out and explore the resorts. Anything along the Skyliner route or the monorail loop around Magic Kingdom, all of those are awesome to go and check out. You can sit down at a lounge like Beacon Barrel, Geo 82, get a refreshing beverage, and then some light bites for an hour or so. That can just be the perfect reset that's needed as well.
For sure. And like we were saying earlier, Nomad Lounge is one of our go-to favorites. When it's just you and me. We'll often sit down there for like 45 minutes, an hour, have some bites, some drinks, and then we're good to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So next up is transportation. So the buses get a lot of heat as being the least favorite transportation method, but honestly for us, it's probably the most reliable. We have always had really good luck with the buses. They consistently get there super early in the mornings for rope job, and then getting home at the end of the night, they come often. So you really don't ever have to wait too long in our experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially like right after fireworks, they are just really good at showing up.
One fills up, another one comes. Absolutely. And then outside of that, it's best practice to really just generally get a good grasp on how transportation works at Walt Disney World. That way, you always have a good idea as to kind of the best way to get around property. So for example, the Skyliner connects Epcot and Hollywood Studios, and that's by far, in our opinion, the best way to get to and from those parks.
And it's such a fun ride.
100%. But if the Skyliner is down for whatever reason, right, it's just, or if you're averse to heights or something like that, it's just good to know that you can also take a boat from Epcot to Hollywood Studios and vice versa if you prefer, or you can even walk if you want to, right, if you're not getting enough steps. For Magic Kingdom, there's a monorail to and from the TTC. There's like an express line. And then you also have the Resorts Loop that stops at TTC, the Polynesian, Grand Floridian, and the Contemporary, and then, of course, Magic Kingdom. And then from TTC, you also have the Epcot monorail. So that's by far the best way to get from Magic Kingdom to Epcot, in our opinion. And the monorail is definitely like the most convenient way to get to Epcot and Magic Kingdom from the guests staying on the Resorts Loop.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can easily get from park to park using Disney transportation. It's super easy, and there's always some form of transportation waiting for you, essentially.
Yep, definitely.
But there are a couple of caveats that are good to know. There are no buses from the parks to Disney Springs, only from the resorts, and there are no buses between the resorts. So, for example, you cannot take the bus from Magic Kingdom to Disney Springs. You would have to take a bus from Magic Kingdom to one of the resorts, which you're allowed to do. Just because you're not staying there doesn't mean you can't take their bus. They don't know any different. So if that's what you want to do, because that's the easiest way to get to Disney Springs from Magic Kingdom, just head on, pick any resort. It doesn't matter which one you pick.
Yep.
And then another thing, like I was saying, you cannot take the bus from like Contemporary Resort to Coronado Springs Resort. You would have to get to Magic Kingdom in that instance and then take a bus to Coronado from there. And then when all else fails, you can take a ride share like Uber or Lyft or a minivan between any 2 points on property. We have done this before. It works very well.
Yeah, absolutely.
All that to say, Disney transportation is very convenient and user-friendly, but it is definitely in your best interest to learn the ins and outs so that you can move around the property efficiently when you are there.
Definitely. Absolutely. It's just going to make your days go by that much smoother. One thing I do want to mention quickly on ride shares. So Uber and Lyft, they have their dedicated drop-off points, whether it's the parks, resorts, Disney Springs, whatever it is. It's usually not as good as the buses, but It is there, except for Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom, Uber and Lyft cannot drop you off like where the buses drop you off. They actually drop you off at TTC, and then you either have to take a bus or the monorail, not a bus, sorry, but the monorail or the boat from TTC to Magic Kingdom. So just for your awareness. But there's another caveat to that, minivans. So minivans is operated by Lyft, but by cast members, right? Minivans specifically, they can drop you off at the gates of Magic Kingdom. But only minivans, not a regular Lyft.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because they work for Disney.
That's right. Yeah. Next up is things we don't miss every single trip. So we never, ever miss a nighttime show. So we usually try to hit all three. So that's Happily Ever After over at Magic Kingdom, Luminous at Epcot, and Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios. We're for sure we're trying for all three, but we're for sure doing at least one, if not two. And they're just so well done, right? They hit right in the feels. It's a perfect way to cap off a day in the parks, in our opinion. By far, like one of our favorite things to do is just to grab a late night snack, pick our spot, and then wait for the show, right? It's like a rite of passage, I would say. Any park guest is going to tell you that leaving the park after a long, successful day, right, is just like a nice feeling after watching.
You're tired, but you feel very satisfied with your day and you just feel very at peace. Like, we get a lot of people that say like, oh, aren't you sick of going to Disney? Oh, isn't it so busy? We don't care. We don't even focus on how busy it is. If it is busy, we have really good strategies in place, I find. And that helps us get through the busyness of the day.
Yep.
But we just love the feels there all the time. We never are annoyed in Disney.
No, for sure. And it's like, the busyness thing. Yeah. Like one thing I say to that too is that anything worth seeing is always going to be busy. Yeah. So like if you go to Paris to see the Eiffel Tower, there's going to be people there, right? If you go to London to check out, I don't know.
Everything that's there.
The London Eye or is that still a thing? I don't know. It's been like a minute since we've been to London, but like the Tower of London and all those places.
Go to Times Square in New York City. It's jam-packed with people.
It's busy. That's the thing. Like any one of these big landmarks. Yeah. Like it's going to be busy, right? And Disney, it is a destination, and it attracts a lot of people, but that's just the name of the game, and that's fine.
Absolutely. So like Oliver was saying, it's just that rite of passage to see those end of day shows. They're just really, really well done.
And nighttime spectaculars, absolutely.
You will regret it if you don't see at least one of them, Yep. And this is honestly not something that we did on our first couple of trips, but hindsight is 2020. And nowadays we always plan a down day. That's a day where we likely won't go into the parks. We will sleep in a bit. And when I say sleep in, like 7:38.
Yeah.
We do some swimming at the resort. We may head into Disney Springs for shopping or dinner, or we will visit another resort for dinner. And really, these are busy days too, but we're not in the park bouncing around all over the place. So it's just a good reset mid-trip and something we will always work in now, especially with the kids.
Yeah. And like mid-trip is a good point, right? Because it is probably best used midway through your trip, right? So you've had like 2 or 3 park days, you put a rest day in between there, and then you have another 2 or 3 park days, and that's kind of a perfect week.
Agreed. So another thing we do now as well, and this will apply to those of you who have visited Walt Disney World before, is that we do something new every single trip, whether that is eating at a restaurant we've never been to, visiting a new attraction or show, or seeing a newly reopened one. Oliver and I were actually just talking about this the other day. There are tons of things that the kids and I haven't seen yet since our last trip in the parks in May of 2025. So we are long overdue for some of these things for sure.
Like the villain show, the Little Mermaid show.
Oh my gosh. We haven't seen the new test track, Beacon Barrel. Yeah, there's even like we wanted to do Caring for Giants in Animal Kingdom with the kids.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And some things we never do or that we don't do anymore is wait in long lines in the middle of the day, right?
True.
If we're even there in the middle of the day, right? When everyone is like the most tired and the parks are usually at their busiest. And for most of the year, that's also when it's the hottest, right? So in our opinion, right, that's just when it's time to take a break. So we never push through that part of the day anymore. if we're not feeling it, we'll definitely just take a break.
Very true.
Yeah, for sure. We also never overbook dining. So we limit ourselves, like we were saying earlier, to one table service meal per day. And the great thing about table service restaurants at Disney is that you can cancel up to 2 hours before your reservation without penalty. So, plans change. And if you just don't want to go anymore, right? Or, something came up, and we've definitely done that, right? Canceled.
Oh my gosh, we've done that so many times.
Yeah. And we've also picked up last minute reservations
Absolutely.
using this strategy as well, right? Because people will change their plans. And this is actually, a good strategy too, is that if you were not able to get a reservation that you were hoping for, if you check on like the 24 hours preceding when you want to dine, stuff's going to open up because some people cancel their plans for sure.
Absolutely. The only one that may not apply to that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Cinderella Royal Table?
It used to be. So for a while, it used to be that for a while, Cinderella's Royal Table had a 24-hour cancellation policy, and then you forfeited the entire cost of the meal.
Because you're prepaying for that meal.
Yeah, and like for a family of 4, it's like $200, almost $300 US.
Yeah.
But they've since changed that again.
This is something new for me.
Yeah, it does have a 2-hour cancellation policy like the other places.
And you get your full refund.
Yep.
Okay, well, there you go. And then to go with what we were saying earlier about rest days and midday breaks, we don't go rope drop to fireworks anymore. And that's not to say that we don't do both rope drops and fireworks in the same day, because we definitely do, but we almost certainly are breaking it up in some way. So think we're going back to the resort for a swim, we are going to a sit-down meal, or we're coming out of the parks for a little bit. We never used to do that. We used to stay in the parks sun up to sundown, but now we know, especially with our kids, they need to have a break, right? Like it's a long day for everybody. So yeah, we definitely take those breaks.
Yeah, exactly. So long story short, these are our favorite strategies or our go-tos that are pretty much non-negotiable for us nowadays. And that's just evolved over the years, right? But having been there lots and often, we found this is what, definitely more recently in the last 3-4 years, I'd say, works best for us consistently, trip over trip.
Absolutely.
If we were pressed to give you our top 3 strategies and nothing else, it would definitely be 1, to start early, right? And if you can't, or if you don't want to, at least have a loose plan as to how your day is going to go. So, because if you go in at 10, 11 a.m. and you're like, yeah, now we're going to buy multipass and we want to do this, it's none of that's going to happen. So yeah, if you're not going there early, just have a plan.
Yeah.
2, don't skip breaks, right? So that's usually a recipe for tired feet and crankiness all around. So take the break, whatever that looks like for you. And then 3 kind of loops everything together is be flexible. So this is something we talk about often on the podcast, but expect that not everything is going to go exactly as planned. And that's okay, right? Your ability to accept that that's likely going to happen, something's going to go wrong, right? And your ability to pivot around that is going to make a huge impact on how your vacation goes as a whole and how, what your perception is of your vacation when you come home.
Yeah, of course. I 100% agree with that. And honestly, not to get too deep, but that's actually really great advice for life in general, right?
Roll with the punches.
Yeah,
for sure.
Things are going to happen. Curveballs are going to come at you. You just got to get through them and manage them.
Yeah, exactly. With that said, thank you for joining us today to talk Disney. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And as always, if you could leave us a rating and review, it would be greatly appreciated. If you choose to do so, you can leave reviews right on Apple Podcasts. And for Spotify, you can leave a rating.
You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Let's Go.to-Disney, as well as on our Facebook page, Let's Go to Disney. We share some helpful reels here as well as some fun ones. The link tree in the show notes will take you to all of our socials.
Have a great day, and we'll see you real soon.